The Old School is brought to you by Ahart Solutions, which provides school surveys and applied research. More information at ahartsolutions.com. And good morning. Welcome to the Old School podcast about a host of things, including the American education system, history, culture, travel, and sports. And with that, we shall delve into it with my good friend, Dr. Stephen Bourgeois. Good morning, Dr. Bourgeois.
Hey, Miller, good to see you today. You seem perky, excited.
Well, until I heard the topic of sports, we're not talking about that horrible incident that happened in my childhood, right? 1984, March 30th. We're not bringing that up again, are we?
We're not talking about the Colts. That came up once though. Somebody asked what game was on TV, and it was the Colts, and I immediately, but without thinking of it, I said, "Oh yeah, they're playing Baltimore." It just came out, and you weren't even part of that. So it's worn off on me. But we'll do a whole episode there because we've talked about you exercising your demons by going to maybe a game in that stadium.
In Indianapolis?
Yeah, we've talked about it. We've talked about it. You're acting surprised for.
No. We talked about going to the city.
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't know.
exorcism.
I mean,
That's to do with going. You need to see the horseshoe on a Indianapolis helmet in front of you.
too many memories.
Yeah.
It's team leaving. It's that horrible black and gold team to the north. There's a lot of demons to be exercised, but
Why don't you introduce Dr. Fingers because you mentioned his colors.
Dr. Alex Fingers is back.
Yay, number fourth. That's a record for the Old School. Congratulations, you're
glad to be with you guys. And Ross,
Yeah.
that team in black and gold to the north is the Pittsburgh Steelers, just in case you were wondering who that six-time world champion franchise was. It's Pittsburgh Steelers.
You would think that if you were a six-time world champion, you wouldn't feel it necessary to emphasize the definite article. It seems like, that sounds, people who do that, it seems like they're trying to build up their team a little bit. But you would think, given the past achievements, and they are past, that perhaps you wouldn't have to do that.
It just kind of rolls off naturally, man. I'm sorry.
Wow.
He's almighty. Well,
tee us up there, Miller. I think you all could go on all day about this. I don't know if they were a rivalry. Maybe they were a rivalry from the Colts perspective, but not the Steelers over these, at least the past 20 years or so. I don't know.
There've been some. I was going to say there've been some knockdown fights between the two of us, especially when they had Manning at the helm. It's been a lot less eventful in recent years, although I do believe that the Indianapolis Colts did beat us the last time we played them last year. So I don't have much to say about last year's outing, but yeah, it's I would classify it as a rivalry. The Baltimore team definitely is more of a football rivalry now between us and them, but there's a little bit of healthy competition between the Colts and Steelers.
And I always saw it as more as the competition between the two towns. I mean, I think when the Colts left, I didn't know they were still in the NFL actually when they left, but when they left, I there's like a disconnect. I think because the setting, the atmosphere is different. When the Steelers go play the Colts, it's not quite the same kind of atmosphere, and so I think there's something missing. But if you're from Indianapolis, what do you care about Pittsburgh? I mean, Cleveland cares about Pittsburgh. Baltimore cares about Pittsburgh. What does Indianapolis have to do with anything? And so I think, yeah, historically, Colts Steelers. I think the real rivalry is between the cities. Maybe.
Yeah, and I like that. You all came to a resolution of this temper that I feel really good. Well, Alex, we decided we'd talk about sports, not specifically football, but football will be part of it, I'm sure. But you're in interesting role as a principal, and the athletics are not just a small thing at your school, and maybe your responsibilities. You probably spend a good part of your week with sports,
Absolutely.
dealing with it. Can you give us a little overview? You know, what do you, what's your um, interaction with sports?
Well, it's great. Actually, having been someone who benefited from playing sports when I was, going through the K through 12 system, and having learned so many different qualities as a result of being a participant in sports and athletics and different things of that nature. I've definitely seen the benefit of that on our campus, and I think campuses across the United States and even the world who employ such a system that allows for competitive activities amongst their schools within the area. So, no, I definitely see that being something that is pretty natural when you talk about school systems. It's natural to think about its fine arts program, their sports programs, and the other activities that students can get involved with and engage with. And as far as my take on sports and the other extracurricular activities for kids, I think it is critical in the development of leadership skills, of being a part of a team, being a part of something that's greater than the individual. And I, I definitely see it as being a great marriage with our K-12 system.
It's the one thing that tends to, or it's the thing that gets brought up the most as far as what differentiates our system from other systems. And that other systems, you go to Germany, you go other places, sports for kiddos is certainly available, but on a community level, not on a sports level. And we seem to be unique in that it's embedded into the curriculum. So I'm kind of curious about what has been your history with sports, starting with you as a student, and maybe just kind of going through it as far as, at each level, what do you gain? What do you lose? How does that affect you?
Well, I can recall dribbling a basketball before anything else in life, almost. It, my parents would probably have to tell you that story, but uh, my dad played basketball throughout all of his life, and still even shoots baskets at the age of 64, 65. So it's something that I've been around my entire life. My first basketball coach was actually my mom. She was coaching at one of the boys clubs that was in Little Rock, Arkansas. At the time, it was called Carver YMCA. She was a coach there, and because she was a coach, I was able to play with the older kids and get in when it was my turn to get in, and just get involved and engaged in the game at an early age. So basketball, football, track, uh, pretty much were the sports that I got involved with early. Um, More basketball and football until high school, and then I made the decision to do basketball only. Um, and I got a chance to get a full ride scholarship as a result of that to a Division I college, and so again, I can speak to the benefits of playing sports and being in an environment that requires you to listen to feedback, and a lot of times that feedback is critical. It's not always glorifying what you've done. It's sometimes telling you how terribly you've executed something, or how you missed the mark here or there. So I think all of those things, and hearing it from different people other than your parents, hearing it from what starts off as strangers who are critiquing you and giving you feedback, and getting very used to that interaction, and knowing that um, all of those things could work toward your improvement. And so sports have been a big part of my life. Again, I can remember dribbling the basketball as early as I could walk. And I still watch it a lot. I don't play as much as I'd like to play now, with just due to time limitations. But as far as its benefits, man, I could go on and on for days about what I see as benefits for kids and involvement in any type of, not just athletics in general, but extracurricular activities that require them to be coached by other people, taught by other people, and having to work alongside other people to accomplish a common goal.
So you
I'm
mentioned,
curious that. Oh, I'm sorry, see.
oh, that's all right. But you mentioned coaches, and just thinking back, I don't think I ever had a coach that wasn't a mentor in some way, and
Mhm.
I don't think my story is unique. But you're right; these are people who are they're not family, but suddenly it's just the way that it's set up, with the group, and then this person who is mentoring all these people in different ways, and they have different styles. But you've interacted with coaches, and even in your current role, you're hiring coaches. And what have you seen over the years as far as that, just how impactful these coaches are?
Well, it's a bit of nostalgia when it comes to watching that relationship between coaches and players. Our baseball team went on a big run last spring, and in fact, we brought home the state championship for the state of Texas in 5A. So that was a very, very exciting run. But me being one of the administrators on duty, sitting or not sitting, more or less standing in the bullpen or in the dugout with the players, just getting the energy that goes along with being in that intimate space between coach and players. Definitely not getting in the way in any sort. Making sure that I keep my distance from interfering between that relationship, but just being in that environment just brings back great memories that I have with the coaches that I've played for and the players that I've played with. So just seeing it play out that way and seeing how it led to the levels of success that it led to. We even had a player get drafted from that team to the major leagues, second round pitcher. But again, just actually being around that environment and it really just brings back great memories, and you get a chance to see those mentorships play out, and generally outside of the school hours, because we know that there's an inherent relationship between student and teacher that goes on within the school day. But to see that in athletics and in extracurricular activities play out sometimes after the school hours to see how those things are still so beneficial. It just brings back all the positive memories that I've had growing up, being in those shoes. So seeing that even as recent as last night on the sideline of the football games, you're seeing how the coaches are interacting with the players and how they're all experiencing the same feelings at the same time. Joy when positive things happen and touchdowns occur, and then the opposite feeling, of course, when we're not as successful at getting those things accomplished. So watching that and just being on the sideline and the energy it goes with the camaraderie of being on the team is amazing. It's amazing. It's something that's special with American sports, especially. Again, I think you guys alluded to in other countries. There's sort of a different layout as it relates to sports. You have school for learning, and if you're good at a young age, and let's say France, you play for a professional team at 13. Um, so like Tony Parker, for example, like he never played high school basketball. He just played professional basketball from the age of 12 all the way through until he was old enough or eligible to be drafted in the NBA. So these kind of experiences are unique to the American culture, and what makes I think the K-12 school system so special, because you have all of these things integrated. And again, when I say sports, I'm not only talking about the ones that are very, very popular and you think about that comes to the front of mind. I'm thinking of all extracurricular activities, including theater and orchestra, band, our dance teams. We have a dance team and cheerleader squads that also compete very, very competitively. And again, that relationship between coach, sponsor, director, and student is one that is always beautiful to see. And again, because knowing where those skill sets are gonna lead or end up with the kids is something that is exciting to watch.
One of the things I'm kind of curious about, and you being an athlete yourself, you would have a special knowledge of this. I mean, I think everyone can probably figure out what are the benefits of being on a winning team. But I told Steve once that I thought that the first experience someone has with suffering or loss is usually sports related. And this is how you learn how to deal with it. And I'm wondering, in what way has loss or suffering on the sports in the sports arena, how has that impacted you? How has that shaped you? How have you seen it shape other people?
Well, I think you get a chance to really see who you are when adversity hits, right? And adversity and losing or not being successful, they tend to go hand in hand. And so it gives you an opportunity to see different aspects of yourself, of your personality, of your willingness to reflect and ultimately your next steps on what are you going to do to prevent that from occurring again or less frequently. And so I think the the reality of it is losing creates drive in a lot of people. And in my studies about grit, one of the things that were kind of congruent is the fact that gritty students are those that take losses as opportunities and not see them as so final. They look at them as a bump in the road and they acknowledge the loss and they even sit with the pain of that loss, but they use that as more of a motivating tool to get to their next step of triumph, of overcoming that thing. So it gives them in the sports world locker room material, things to put on your board to use as a motivating factor more than just something that is final. And so I think lessons that come with losing, one, it makes you appreciate winning that much more. Imagine a world where everything you shot in as a basketball player that went in, you wouldn't appreciate hitting the big shot that won the game. You wouldn't appreciate the shots that you hit that led to success for your team if you always experience success. So I think it creates the proper duality, if you will, to appreciate all that comes positive with winning.
I think just socially, from a student standpoint, they have a natural group that travels with them. And I can remember even early in elementary school, the people who played basketball and football and baseball, those became the friend group for really all the way through high school. And so your lifelong friends, if you're lucky enough to have them, typically come from that group. And it could be in the arts or whatever it is, but in high school, the band students definitely stick together, and it's a wonderful dynamic because it's a safe space for a lot. It's a big group of students, and they found their folks, found their people.
Right.
Um, so just from a sense of belonging, I bet it doesn't matter what the activity is, it has those benefits as well.
Yeah, we're very communal people, and we learned that a lot during the pandemic. How much we needed that interaction with other humans. I think we took it for granted prior to that huge pandemic, and but one of the things that we've learned as a result of having gone through that is how important that human interaction is, and you said it best, like having your niche, having your people, having people who can speak the same language with very little explanation, having people who are interested in the same types of activities. Those things kind of create those bonds that end on lasting well beyond their times together playing that particular sport, or dancing in that dance group, or acting in that acting troupe. Those relationships tend to be those that are lifelong, if we're lucky, right? And go well beyond our days of the K-12 experience when those were formed. So yes, the social aspect of that is definitely something that is beneficial as a result of being a part of different groups athletically, fine arts wise, speech and debate. We have a nice speech and debate program on our campus that those kids, they hang out together. They tend to gravitate toward the same courses and interest. And I think again, long term, it's gonna pay off to be positive for them from years down the line.
So Steve and I had talked about the effect and the benefits of sport because Steve, as a former coach and as a former player, me just as a fan of sports, we can see the benefits, but there are also some legitimate arguments about either the presence of sports within a school curriculum or the emphasis of sports in a school curriculum. So how do you address those concerns? Whether we're talking about a question of money, whether we're talking about a question of should we be overemphasizing the notion of sports as something to do further on? Should we be focusing more on academic stuff as a institution of learning? How do you address those arguments?
Well, I think being involved in something outside of just your core four, that those are the biggest intervention plans you can ever have on a campus. Uh, Having the different opportunities and outlets for those students to express themselves, be it artistically or athletically, or even bodily, kinesthetically, as it relates to dance and cheer and those different things that they're able to do that normal people can't. I don't know if you've seen how many times cheerleaders are able to turn backflips on the drop of a dime to the beat of to the beat of some music. Those things are very, very impressive and are not naturally uh, gifted to everyone. So the students having the outlets and abilities to exercise those gifts, I think, makes for a better culture on a campus. Uh, Definitely, there are going to be students who are more focused on, uh, I guess, what you would call classical or traditional academic
Mhm.
academics. So, you're going to have those kids that are more interested in solving equations than they are, running an out route. But I think the marrying of the two uh, is what makes our experience as a whole better, because every last one of us are dynamic. We all have multiple facets to us. We're not singularly driven on just one thing or one aspect of life. We tend to have several different interests, and sometimes they're even juxtaposed to some degree. But I think that's what makes humans human, and that's where the beauty of being a human lies, is the ability, the reality is that we are dynamic as people, and I think you'd be taken away that beauty if you were to try to limit the other opportunities that kids have to express themselves and all of the different gifts that they've been given and that they've worked on and that they've honed and things of that nature. So um, you can have an argument in anything that you put up, like and it's not to say that they couldn't make counterpoints that would be beneficial to their stance, but just looking at the holistic approach of learning and seeing people for who they are and their gift that they bring, and teaching those students how to really hone those gifts and explore those opportunities that come as a result of having them. That's kind of our jobs as educators. It's not just to teach English. There are so many other aspects of life that we get a chance to really help kids with. So I would always argue that those things are necessary for any uh, institution of learning, and that yes, there's a cost that's related to anything that you're doing that's extra, but I think the cost is definitely justifiable.
So I was thinking back, actually to the same school where you were a principal when I was teaching there. They
Okay.
did something really, I thought it was intriguing, and maybe they still do it, but they have, particularly during football season, weekly pep rallies. And so most of the, they fill up the gym, faculty comes there and they stand around the basketball court with their arms crossed, kind of doing their duty. But at that time, they also had something called Gym 2. And that was for students who didn't want to be part of that. And they would go in there and just sit and do homework or whatever. And so normally the duty was to go to the main gym and cross your arms and look up in the stands and be there. But at one point, I was given duty of Gym 2. And I didn't know what to expect. I thought there would be, fights in the stands. I thought it would be just a rough crowd. I thought, oh, great, I'm the only adult in Gym 2. And so I walked in there, and it had a good amount of students in there, and I thought, oh boy, what's happening here? And then I walked closer and took a look, and sure enough, I knew almost all of those students, and they were German students. So so all of my students were in Gym 2. I thought, okay, let's figure something out here. What's going on? And they were just sitting quietly talking to each other and doing their thing. So I guess my whole career was teaching Gym 2 students. Uh, but it's a different side. I thought it was very respectful. You give it's a choice, and you gave that option, and those kids, I mean, I know them, and they found their place and their people as well. But there's a good portion of students who are not participating, but doing quite fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you said, it was a respectful alternative, and that's what we have to consider is that as much as some of us are excited about the ideal of going to a stadium or going to an event, to an orchestra or symphony, etc., that there are just as many people out there who would rather not and would rather, find a quiet space to read and reflect. So again, not saying one is right or one is wrong or the other is, um, we don't have to have one right, one wrong in this regard. We can agree that the experience is there for the students if they choose to take place. We like to encourage them to at least attempt it, try, see if there's something about it, because what they may find is a lot of their friends are there, and a lot of their friends are enhancing their high school experience as a whole by attending different events and supporting their fellow classmates who are participating in those things. And so um, and that's why we have such a large yearbook to capture all of the different events and things that went on and took place during that particular school year. And so you want to be able to say, "Oh, I was there for that
Right.
monumental, milestone," and not only find out about it after it occurred through an annual. So, but again, to each his own. There's no right or wrong answer to that. But uh, as a kid, I definitely was one who was more interested in being a part of what was going on the high school campus than not. But I definitely understand that there's a dynamic reality in all of our kids.
That said, that is the thing that most people outside the US think of when they think of American high schools. They think of the pep rallies. I cannot tell you how many times I've sponsored or been in charge of exchange groups where Germans have come to our schools, or I've taught or tutored other exchange students, and it's their first pep rally that they are most looking forward to and they are most struck by, because and they all say the same thing. It's strange. They all say the same thing. It's like a movie. It doesn't seem real to them on some level just because they have no experience in their own school, in their own country, that is equivalent to that.
Man, that I can only imagine if this were the first time seeing a pep rally and having had a school experience that had nothing that resembled that, how how different that could be. So I bet you that was life changing in some ways. You know,
Mhm.
to see that this much goes into just saying, "Hey, come out to the game," because pep rallies are really about getting the teams excited about playing, but also about advertising the game.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think that's a part of our country's culture, and it's just ingrained in our K-12 experience as reading and learning. You know.
Steve,
So
you've experienced that as well, have you not? I mean, with your, our shared experience, having Germans here, but I mean, on your own, you've seen this a lot too, have you not?
well, it reminds me just how important that experience is. Ross and I taught at a very small charter school in the neighborhood, but without athletic teams or anything. And so when the Germans came to visit us, we couldn't present that to them. So we once again, here's the connection. We took them either to your school for a day, they spent a whole day there, or the other high school in your district. And so they attended the pep rally and then they went to the football game. And so we created that experience, even though we didn't have it at that small school. And yeah, I think that just shows to us how important it is to show the Germans particularly what it is, because that's what they see in the films, in the movies, the high school. But they're excited about all of that. I mean, a lot of things are similar, probably more than not, but that thing is that's unique, and they just can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
And even as an American, I mean, when I moved to Texas, and I've told this story to Steve before, but when I moved to Texas, I crossed the state line somewhere like 8 o'clock at night, and I'm just flipping through. It's Friday night, and I'm flipping through the dial, and I come across a football game. And so I'm sitting there trying to figure out, okay, what college is this? What is this an early pro game? I mean, I couldn't figure out what it was. And I come from a state where, I mean, football is popular, but it's not, it's a whole different animal down here. And so, even within the United States, we have different experiences. In my high school, it was lacrosse. Lacrosse was the big sport. You'd have just as many people go to a lacrosse game than a football game. I'm sitting there messing with this radio, trying to figure out what game this is, and it's a high school football game. And I was blown away by how much value there was that someone would put it on the radio, and presumably people listen to it. But it does give you an idea of how the community, it's not just about the schools, but it's how the community values these experiences and what it does for young men and women.
Absolutely right. Friday nights are big community events because not only will you have the football team playing, you'll also have the band playing. You'll have your dance team playing. You'll have your cheer team playing. You'll have the guys on the sideline with the cheer team, our spirit guys. You'll have those guys out there. Then you'll have your color guard accompany the band. You'll have all of those different facets. You have your medical students, the training staff. They get an opportunity to practice what they've learned in class throughout the week and really in real time see to players about their different bumps and bruises. Um, you have your yearbook students out there really getting an opportunity to capture the moments and getting a lot of the stuff that they learned throughout the day, given opportunity to actually execute those things in a real life setting. You have all of those different aspects going on at the same time, and it's a community event, and especially a town like the one that I'm employed in. It is a big event that provides an opportunity for both alum and just residents within the community to come together and watch a time old tradition like a football game. And so the experience you're talking about, you can see the emphasis put on it if you're playing on radio stations throughout the state. But now they've gotten more sophisticated. You have opportunities to watch them live on different apps and keep up with the ticker, almost like ESPN, where you can keep up with in live game scores of other high school teams. So it is a big deal. Saturday mornings, they do a big production recapping Friday night games, and you can think about how fast you have to have that turned around. So it is a whole industry based on the premise of athletics and extracurriculars being a part of the greater school community.
So we are the old school, and we look at technology coming in and all these changes, and we tend to be critical of anything that's new as our initial stance, and we talk it through. But hearing you talk about that, Alex, it seems that the high school football game that you watch today in the stands is not different from what it was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. You know, there's a scoreboard that's sort of antiquated. Usually in the the seating is benches. The game doesn't change much. The uniforms are about the same. All of the things surrounding it's really one of the few things that's been completely stable for a very long time, and that's refreshing. And so I'm personally all for it.
Yeah, it's one of the age old pastimes of American culture, and it's just we get a chance to do something each week that brings joy to a community. And so even the tradition of homecoming is one that is is ingrained in our culture. And so those things are things that bring joy to the community. And I think it's good for the communities, the communities that they serve. So
I think it makes it even more impressive that it is a community thing. It's not like we're out in West Texas, where that's the only thing going on, and it is kind of a very binding type of experience. But even in a place where it's much bigger, it becomes even perhaps even more important to have that community feel, just because there is so many other things people could be doing. And yet all those people that you mentioned that are within the high school sports experience, there's also their parents and there's also their siblings. And it creates a bind that is difficult to find in almost any other realm of life, that you would find that even in a big city as opposed to a small town.
yeah, and just like you said, I would even say that in small towns they have an advantage because there's not a lot that
Right.
competes with that experience. So you're absolutely right. It's something that is binding as it relates to the community. It's something that binds people together and brings them together for one cause and
Even
special.
tertiary sports like tennis,
There he goes with an insult, just throws it in. The tennis teams, particularly in Texas, are practicing it as much, if not more, than football or anybody else. And they have two seasons. They have a
Yeah,
fall season, and so they get a little break over during Christmas time, and then they're back practicing. And in January, it's very cold, and you're out there in the freezing temperatures, competing, and they finish while baseball is finishing also. So it's these are athletes and cross training. They would be successful in any sport because
oh
of
man,
the conditions. They start in the heat of the summer, and it's a year-round sport, and it's a skill-based sport. So it takes a long time to be able to enjoy the game and to you shouldn't bring something like that up, Ross, this time, Rainy.
well, well,
I,
since he brought it up, I'll do my shameless plug for our tennis program. We are the doubles state champions in
Wow.
5A. Um, so are actually double state champions. I think when it comes to tennis, it's across the board. And so um, um, we're really thrilled with our program and the success that we've had in tennis. You should come out to our courts. We've done a lot of additions to the facility. We have new awnings put on, and it's really nice.
Wow.
And tennis is a big deal in North Texas. A lot of people don't know that. but it is something that has grown and is constantly growing as a sport that you can also turn into a lifelong sport, because you have far more people playing tennis after the age of 30 than you do have playing football. I don't. It's not uncommon for Steve and to get a buddy together and go and play a couple games of tennis. But if I were to say, Ross, let's meet up and play a game of football, tackle,
I'd
we'd
be in the
probably be
hospital that
having a
night.
different
So
conversation.
Oh.
well, I was busting Steve's chops a little bit, but I mean, tennis is one of those sports where you look at it and you're like, I could do that, and then you get out there and you're like, I can't do this. I mean, you look like a fool. It's like the first time I tried it. I had one of those walls, and I'm like, okay, I'll just bounce it off the wall. How hard can it be? Well, it's very hard actually. Couldn't do it.
Yeah,
So, but I'm just no, I'm
especially if you have to use your backhand. Man, I think that's like the Achilles heel of the sport, making someone use their backhand and not just use it to make contact with the ball, but actually use it to make contact with the ball and keep the ball in bounds and in play. That's the thing that seems to be the most difficult when I tried to play it.
yeah.
Well, it's the only strategy early on until eventually players, get better and they can handle that. But it's you know, it, looking at being in high school and playing a sport. I guess here's an example of how quickly we get old. Some of my high school friends thought, let's do a Thanksgiving football game, play tackle football on the field. And so we did it a year after, and then we tried it the second year, and I felt like I was bruised all over. I couldn't walk for a week. And I was just like 20, 21 years old. And taking that kind of pounding, I don't know how high school, they're just resilient. But I, after that second year, I faked injuries. I made excuses, never play it again.
But it's amazing how
Ross, what
much.
Steve is, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just saying it's amazing how long that experience sticks with you after you leave. In Boston, it is common on Thanksgiving morning for football rivals to play each other. It's like rival weekend, but it's on the Thursday morning of Thanksgiving. And I remember being up in Boston. My sister-in-law lives up there, and I went for a walk through the neighborhood, and I come across this park, and I see this huge group of people playing a flag football game in this park, and they've got tables lined the sidelines. The wives and girlfriends are monitoring donuts and beers. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, pitchers of beers and boxes of donuts, and I'm like, I walk over there and I'm like, what are y'all doing? And they told me the thing that these guys that were playing were members of two teams that had played each other all throughout high school, and they decided that they just wanted to keep playing. And so that idea that it was still something that they had value even past their prime for some of them, but it was still important to be there.
Wow.
Uh,
I'm thinking, and the band played on.
yeah, there are definitely some sports that transition or age well, if you will. Some sports age well as it relates to getting older and less fit compared to others. Tennis is probably one that helps um, to keep you youthful and not as strenuous on your body as playing tackle football for sure.
Well, well, this has been an amazing experience. Yeah, I think one of the things that I appreciate most is the chance to talk to very smart people who are experts in one area, but also have this rich experience in other areas and a chance to be able to explore that. And so I was very happy that you were able to come on with us and just appreciate you being a part of the program again.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me, man. It's always fun sitting and rapping with you guys.
Hey, it's way too easy, we just hit record and we're moving. But thanks again, and again, you're our returning champion, the record holder. Congratulations, and our ratings seem to double when you're here, so that's a selfish pitch for ourselves. But you're hitting records So thank you, Alex, and we'll do this again for sure.
All right. It's been
We
a
shall
pleasure,
say
guys.
adieu, Dr. Finger, Dr. Bourgeois.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Good as I am.